Welcome to the History in Focus channel. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss more videos like this one. Frank Ballou and Samuel Peterson test a bulletproof metal shield at an indoor shooting range. Holding the shield is the inventor himself, Elliot Wisbrod, who trusted his creation so much that he literally bet his life on it. Moments before being shot, Rinaldo Dagsa was photographing his family during New Year's Eve in 2011 in the Philippines. Unknowingly, he captured the shooter in the background, holding the weapon just seconds before the fatal attack. During the Ukrainian Revolution protests, an Orthodox priest walks through smoke holding a shield and a crucifix. He participated in demonstrations in Kyiv, demanding the resignation of President Yanukovych and alignment with the European Union. The signing of the Budapest Memorandum marked Ukraine's decision to give up its nuclear arsenal in exchange for security guarantees from Russia, the U.S., and the United Kingdom, a gesture of trust that would be severely tested years later. The pistol used by Gavrilo Princip to assassinate Archduke Franz Ferdinand in 1914 is displayed as a symbol of the spark that ignited World War I. A single shot that plunged the world into a conflict that killed over 16 million people. After escaping extremist-controlled territories, a woman celebrates her freedom by tossing away the imposed abaya, revealing colorful clothes upon reaching a safe area. The gesture became a symbol of female resistance against oppression. John F. Kennedy and Lem Billings were inseparable friends since high school. Billings, openly gay among close friends, remained close to the future president throughout his life, even serving as an unofficial advisor in the White House. Medieval toilets projected from castle walls and dumped waste directly outside, often into moats or slopes. Without plumbing, the stench and sanitary risks were constant, especially during prolonged sieges. The scold's bridle was a cruel torture device used in the late Middle Ages. Women accused of talking too much were forced to wear it, as excessive speech was seen as a sign of demonic possession. A grotesque reminder of fear toward the female voice. Richard Nixon greets the Apollo 11 astronauts after their return from the moon mission in 1969. They were in quarantine inside the isolation module, a safety measure adopted to prevent possible contamination from the moon. One of the most wanted criminals in the world, El Chapo Guzman, posed for this photo with Sean Penn during a secret interview in the Mexican jungle. Days later, he was captured. Authorities had tracked the meeting through an actress's cell phone. Amid the collapse of the Soviet Union, a Red Army veteran confronts an anti-communist protester on the streets of Moscow. The scene reflects the generational and ideological clash during a critical moment in Russian history in the 1990s. A cameraman filmed scenes over a moving race car, lying down and strapped in while holding the camera. The photo from the 1960s reveals the dangerous methods used to capture footage before modern filming technology. Arnold Schwarzenegger walks in swim trunks through the streets of Munich in 1969 to promote the gym where he worked as an instructor. Around 22 years old at the time, he was already drawing attention for the physique that would earn him the Mr. Olympia title. Discovered in London, this Roman face cream jar is nearly 2,000 years old. Its original contents, still preserved, reveal a mix of animal fat, starch, and tin used to lighten the skin. Fingerprints are still visible on the lid. In this 1901 photo, we see a Russian Orthodox priest in a gaziga coat made from deer skin. Very different from Western priests in black robes and crucifixes, he carried a rifle and wore furs to survive in the ice. At the exact moment of the explosion, we see the shock wave expanding like a transparent shield around the fire. This distortion in the air, caused by the rapid compression of gases, is rarely visible to the naked eye and requires extreme precision to capture. To win a bet, Thomas Fitzpatrick stole a plane and drunkenly landed it on a street in Manhattan in 1956. 2 years later, he repeated the stunt just to prove the story to a man who doubted it, and both landings were incredibly successful. In smaller brothels, thin candles like these functioned as timers. The customer paid, lit the candle, and when it burned out, the session was over. The duration varied with the price. Time was literally measured in melted wax. Queen Jenapil, the last queen consort of Mongolia. She was chosen for her education and beauty to marry the last monarch, Bogd Khan. After the monarchy's fall, she was executed during Stalinist purges in 1938 at age 29. People offer prayers in India's Yamuna River, which is foaming with industrial waste. Despite the contamination, the site remains sacred to millions. The photo exposes the paradox between ancient faith and the modern country's environmental challenges. Viktor Yushchenko, before and after his dioxin poisoning in 2004. He and his family believe the assassination attempt was ordered by Moscow in response to his pro-European campaign. His unrecognizable face shocked the world. The Wadi Us Salam Cemetery in Najaf, Iraq, holds about 5 million bodies and has existed for more than 1,400 years. It occupies 15% of the city and continues to expand. It is the only place in the world where more people are buried than alive. An East German guard throws a ball back to a child playing on the West German side of the Berlin Wall. A simple gesture during the Cold War tension when any interaction between both sides was viewed with suspicion. In the center of the lake on the Spencer family estate, this small wooded island holds Princess Diana's grave, far from royal pomp. The site is surrounded by 36 trees, representing the 36 years of her life. What many do not see, the rear view of the Great Sphinx of Giza, with the striking contrast between the monument's ancient grandeur and modern Cairo's urban sprawl. Today's Egypt is a vastly different country from the one ruled by pharaohs. A champagne inspector wears a protective mask against explosions caused by bottles with unstable pressure. Corks and shards could cause serious injuries, requiring this type of equipment during quality control. An experimental prototype of a portable television created in Germany in 1967. The device was designed to be worn directly on the head, allowing the user to watch programming in an immersive way. Couples fill the courthouse in Las Vegas trying to get married before a new executive order ended the draft exemption for married men. The decision caused dozens of young men to seek a last-minute solution to avoid being sent to the Vietnam War. In 1933, Marlene Dietrich was detained in Paris for wearing pants, defying an 1800 law that prohibited women from dressing like men. The law was only officially repealed in 2013 after more than 2 centuries of symbolic resistance. John Quincy Adams was the first United States president to be photographed. The image, taken in 1843, marks the transition from painted portraits to photography as an official record. He was no longer in office when the photo was taken. With no seatbelt, bar, or helmet, the Snow King chairlift in 1965 reflects a time when safety was optional. Children and adults traveled like this dozens of feet above the ground, unimaginable under today's safety regulations. Between administrations, the Oval Office is completely emptied and redecorated according to the new president's style. The room symbolizes the executive power of the United States and undergoes changes with every transition. Protesters throw stones at a British military vehicle amid explosions and smoke on the streets of Derry. The scene took place during Bloody Sunday in 1972, when soldiers opened fire on civilians during a peaceful protest, killing 13 people. Shirley Slade, a 22-year-old American pilot, was trained to ferry military aircraft during World War II. As part of the WASP group, she helped free up male pilots for combat amid resistance against women in aviation. One of the most iconic moments in sports culture. Michael Jordan in 1984 performs a choreographed jump for a Life magazine shoot. The image later served as the basis for the famous Air Jordan logo. Russian Emperor Nicholas II poses next to Empress Alexandra and their 5 children in 1913 during the final years of the Romanov dynasty. The photo was taken before the Russian Revolution, which led to their imprisonment and execution by the Bolshevik regime. Grains of salt seen through an electron microscope reveal their natural cubic structure. This geometric shape results from the arrangement of sodium and chlorine atoms in the crystal, something invisible to the naked eye, but clearly defined at the microscopic scale. The sunset on Mars was captured by NASA's Spirit rover in 2005 in Gusev Crater. Unlike Earth, the Martian sky takes on bluish hues at dusk due to the way dust particles scatter sunlight in the atmosphere. The Kuba comet was a futuristic multimedia center with a 23-inch TV, multiband radio, phonograph, and 8 speakers. Its rocket-like design cost more in 1957 than a full year's average salary, a true luxury of the space age. At age 12, Taylor Swift sang the United States national anthem before an NBA game. The 2002 performance was one of her first public appearances, long before becoming one of the biggest pop stars in the world. A young girl protests low teacher wages in the 1930s. "I quit school to make $21 a week. My teacher makes $17.78. The sign sparked controversy by showing that teaching was valued less than child labor. President Bush is informed about the September 11th attacks while attending a reading session with children at an elementary school in Florida. The photo was taken at the exact moment he learned that the second plane had struck the World Trade Center. Richard Jewell, initially hailed as a hero for spotting a bomb in Atlanta, was later falsely accused by the FBI and defamed by the press, dragging his personal life for years until being fully exonerated. The Michigan Micro Mote is considered the smallest functional computer in the world. At less than 0.001 cubic inches, it was photographed next to a grain of rice for comparison. The device can measure temperature, pressure, and vibration. During the Normandy campaign in 1944, French civilians showed solidarity with the Allies. In this scene, a woman offers tea to a British soldier, a common gesture among locals who, despite the war, tried to maintain hospitality. The Eureka building in Chicago froze completely after firefighters extinguished a fire during the peak of winter. The water used to put out the flames formed massive curtains of ice, turning the building into an impressive accidental sculpture. Covered in snow and extreme ice, trees in Finnish Lapland take on curious shapes during winter. With temperatures reaching 40 degrees Fahrenheit, frost accumulates in dense layers, creating natural structures that resemble sculptures from another planet. At the Shanhaiguan Pass, the Great Wall of China ends in the Bohai Sea. Known as the Dragon's Head, this coastal stretch was built during the Ming Dynasty and served as a strategic defense against maritime invasions. NASA captured the far side of the Moon, passing in front of Earth from about 1 million miles away. The image was taken by the DS-COVR spacecraft in 2015 and shows a rare perspective of the natural satellite seen from deep space. Theodore Roosevelt's diary on the day his wife and mother died in 1884. On the page, he drew an X and wrote, "The light has gone out of my life." Both women passed away within hours of each other. George W. Bush writes his statement after the September 11th attacks, still in a classroom at the Florida elementary school where he received the news. The world would soon witness the beginning of a new geopolitical era. During the Great Depression, Al Capone opened a soup kitchen in Chicago that served soup, coffee, and donuts to the unemployed. Despite his reputation as a gangster, he used the action to improve his public image during the crisis of the 1930s. Few imagine that right next to the ancient Great Pyramid of Giza, there is a lush golf course. The contrast between modern leisure and millennia-old monuments shows how today's Egypt coexists with its pharaonic past. Ukrainian drone operator using FPV antennas. These systems allow control of drones miles away and are used for reconnaissance, sabotage, and even precise grenade launching. Techniques like these have changed the modern battlefield. General George S. Patton's dog rests beside the commander's luggage at the barracks in Heidelberg, Germany, after the general's death. The photo was taken the same day Patton died from a car accident. Bruce Lee practices dance steps with a partner in 1958, the year he won the Hong Kong National Cha-Cha Championship. Before becoming a martial arts and film icon, he also stood out as a competitive dancer. Steve Jobs and Bill Gates appear in a rare, informal conversation in 1991 during a period of rivalry and collaboration between Apple and Microsoft. The two entrepreneurs shaped the personal computing market and profoundly influenced technology. The Chicago skyline can be seen from more than 50 miles away from the coast of Indiana, as in this stunning sunset. This rare visual effect occurs due to atmospheric refraction, which bends light and allows sight beyond the horizon. Soldiers and workers march in Petrograd during the Russian Revolution of 1917, carrying a banner with the word communism. The uprising overthrew Tsar Nicholas II and brought the Bolsheviks to power, initiating the formation of the Soviet Union. A female employee poses next to 62,000 punch cards required to store just 4 megabytes of data. The photo was taken in 1955, when this type of media was widely used in computers for processing and data storage. Kim Il-sung, founder of North Korea, appears next to Hungarian communist leader János Kadar in 1984. Notably visible is the tumor on Kim's neck, which he carried for years and was never officially mentioned by North Korean media. A hard drive with just 5 megabytes of storage being loaded onto a Pan Am airplane in 1956. The operation marks the beginning of the digital storage era, when a few megabytes required equipment the size of a wardrobe. Neil Armstrong smiles inside the lunar module after becoming the first human to walk on the moon's surface in 1969. The Apollo 11 mission marked one of the greatest achievements in space exploration, and this image captures the emotion of that historic moment. Prototype testing of a NASA Apollo program spacesuit in the Mojave Desert, California. Among volcanic rocks, engineers simulated lunar surface conditions, preparing the way for the historic landing. Students walked the streets of Kabul in the 1960s, a time when Afghanistan was experiencing modernization. Women had access to education and freedom of dress, contrasting with the restrictions imposed decades later. India's first communication satellite, called Apple, is transported on an ox-drawn cart in 1981. The improvised transport happened before the launch and shows the major challenges India faced in the early days of its space program. Here we see Mark Zuckerberg in his dorm room at Harvard University in 2004. It was in this small room that he developed the first lines of Facebook code while still a sophomore, before the platform expanded globally. The Boston Terrier in the early 1900s had a longer snout, smaller ears, and a more robust body. Over the decades, selective breeding shaped the breed's modern appearance, giving it more rounded features. The Ghost Town in the Sky Amusement Park, located in Maggie Valley, North Carolina, opened in 1961 and became famous for its roller coaster in the heights of the Appalachians. Closed in 2002, it is now a ghost park. A Senegalese soldier who lost both arms writes a letter using his new prosthetic limbs at the Professional Rehabilitation School for Amputees in Paris, 1918. Over 40,000 French soldiers underwent amputations during World War I. The Millennium Falcon's cockpit is shown on a film set during the production of Star Wars in the mid-1970s. The structure was built full-scale for the interior scenes, while the blue screen background allowed for visual effects to be added. Tourists atop the Great Pyramid, 1938. For decades, climbing the pyramids was allowed and even encouraged as an attraction. Today, it is strictly prohibited for preservation and safety reasons, with severe penalties in Egypt. Some starfish can have a square shape due to natural genetic variations. Although uncommon, this type of formation does not prevent the animal from performing its vital functions normally on the ocean floor. Standing 1,083 feet tall with 105 floors, the Rugyong Hotel dominates the skyline of Pyongyang, North Korea. Construction began in 1987 but faced decades of delays and remains unfinished and non-operational as a hotel to this day. In the Saudi Arabian desert, solar-powered laser beams point to the night sky with a vital purpose: guiding lost travelers to water sources. This system uses clean technology to save lives in one of the planet's harshest environments. An engineer operates a machine designed to simulate walking and measure shoe wear. The equipment rotated pairs of shoes against a rolling surface, allowing for precise durability testing before mass production. Salvador Dali and Walt Disney conversed during an artistic collaboration. The duo worked together on the production of Destino, a short film combining animation and surrealism. The project began in the 1940s, but was only completed in 2003. Greta Thunberg is carried by police during an environmental protest in Lützerath, a village threatened by coal mining in Germany. The Swedish activist became a global symbol of climate action, confronting authorities since her teenage years. Brothers Richard and Maurice McDonald pose in front of the first remodeled unit of their restaurant in San Bernardino, California, in 1948. The location had not yet opened and would become the starting point of the future McDonald's fast food chain. Kuwaiti women wait in line to vote. Their right to vote and run for office was only achieved in 2005, after decades of fighting for political equality in the country. A man is escorted by police officers out of a vehicle in New York after being arrested for wearing women's clothing in 1939. At the time, local laws criminalized cross-dressing, and people were jailed for violating public dress codes. During the filming of Baby Driver, the actual stunt driver responsible for the maneuvers was positioned on the roof of the car. This allowed the actor inside the vehicle to simulate driving safely, while the scenes were filmed on the streets. Obama visits the bus where Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat in 1955. Her act sparked the Montgomery bus boycott and became a symbol of the civil rights movement. The photo was taken at the Henry Ford Museum in Michigan in 2012. Presented to the Mexican Congress in 2023, this alleged alien corpse was said to be 1,000 years old. The fossil was found in diatomite mines in Peru and sparked controversy among scientists who questioned its authenticity. United Nations soldiers help a North Korean prisoner read Time magazine during Korean War armistice negotiations in 1951. North Koreans would never have access to such content under the country's closed regime. This gold pocket watch belonged to a Titanic passenger and stopped exactly at 3:21 a.m., marking the moment the ship sank. It was recovered from the Atlantic seabed years later, still showing the time. In India, the Khasi tribe cultivates living bridges made from the roots of ficus trees. They take 15 to 30 years to form, and some are over 250 feet long and more than 500 years old. Unlike regular bridges, these get stronger with age. Jacqueline Kennedy watches from backstage as her husband, John F. Kennedy, participates in the first televised presidential debate in United States history. The showdown with Richard Nixon took place in 1960 and marked a new era in politics. Abraham Lincoln meets with General George McClellan in the military command tent after the Battle of Antietam. The visit marked a decisive moment in the Civil War, with the president pressing for firmer action against Confederate forces. The eruption of Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines launched giant pyroclastic clouds in 1991. Considered one of the largest eruptions of the 20th century, it released 10 billion tons of magma and reduced global temperatures by about 0.9 degrees Fahrenheit in the following years. In 1933, the end of prohibition in the United States concluded 13 years of alcohol bans. Men celebrated wildly the legal return of drinks after years of smuggling, speakeasies, and the rise of organized crime. Susan Kare, a pioneer in digital design, created icons and fonts that defined the personal computer era. Her visual work shaped the graphic style of systems at Apple, Microsoft, IBM, and Next, becoming a legend of the digital revolution. Suwałkowa, a village in Poland with about 6,000 inhabitants, has an impressive characteristic. Nearly everyone lives along a single road that stretches for miles. This linear organization gives the village a unique appearance. Curious glances turn to two women showing their legs on the streets of Toronto in 1937. A bold act at the time that symbolically marked female liberation against strict social dress codes. In the 1800s, pit bulls were nicknamed nanny dogs due to their strong loyalty and protective instinct shown around children, being considered reliable companions for families of the time. A road in Finland was camouflaged with trees suspended by ropes during the World War SARS to fool Russian planes. The clever technique aimed to hide supply routes in the forest and was so convincing it even fooled locals familiar with the area. During the Spanish flu pandemic in 1918, mask wearing became mandatory in several cities and was seen as a civic duty essential to curbing the virus that killed millions around the world. In 2014, Mount Ontake erupted, spewing ash and sulfur across the area. Rescue teams cleared paths through an ash-covered temple to save trapped tourists. Though tragic, the scene looks like a black and white photo, but it is real. Joaquin Phoenix washing dishes during a photo shoot in 1996. At the time, he was still better known as River Phoenix's brother and was working to build his own career outside his late brother's shadow. The effects of a daisy cutter bomb. Designed to clear large forest areas in seconds, this 15,000-pound bomb was mainly used during the Vietnam War to create clearings where helicopters could land quickly. Record of the arrival of the first train to California in 1876. The Transcontinental Railroad made it possible to cross the United States in just 7 days, connecting the East Coast to the West and accelerating the region's economic growth. This couple works to reinforce the roof of a makeshift house during the Great Depression in the 1930s. The economic crisis plunged millions into extreme poverty, forcing families to live in precarious shelters made of reused wood. The first airplane trip around the world was completed by American aviators in 1924. Using Douglas World Cruiser aircraft, the team covered about 27,000 miles in 175 days, crossing 22 countries and facing numerous challenges. Designed by the Soviet Union, the Lun Ekranoplan operated in the late 1980s, flying close to the water using ground effect technology. With 6 missiles and 8 turbines, it was a mix between a ship and a plane. Today, it remains abandoned on the coast of Dagestan, Russia. Image captured by the Soviet Venera 9 probe on the surface of Venus in 1975. With temperatures above 860 degrees Fahrenheit, the equipment began to fail within minutes of landing. Even so, it managed to send the first photos ever taken of the planet. The Statue of Unity in India stands 597 feet tall and is the tallest in the world. Inaugurated in 2018, it honors Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, a leader of Indian independence. It is nearly twice as tall as the Statue of Liberty. During a Nazi rally in Hamburg, one man remains with arms crossed while thousands around him salute Hitler. He is said to have refused because he was engaged to a Jewish woman during a time when such relationships were forbidden. A fence sharply divides two contrasting worlds. On one side, San Diego, United States. On the other, Tijuana, Mexico. This is one of the busiest borders in the world, crossed daily by thousands seeking opportunities. With its vertical walls and flat summit shrouded in mist, Mount Roraima impresses with its appearance. Located at the tri-border of Brazil, Venezuela, and Guyana, it is one of the oldest geological formations on Earth, about 2 billion years old. Stubby, a mixed-breed dog, served alongside American soldiers in World War I and received several medals for bravery. He alerted about gas attacks, found the wounded, and even captured an enemy spy, becoming a military hero. Jack Dempsey throws a mock punch at Harry Houdini, while Benny Leonard holds him in front of an excited audience. The scene was captured at a promotional event in the 1920s, bringing together 3 major names in boxing and magic of the time. This is a photo of Albert Einstein's office, taken in Princeton, United States, on April 18, 1955, the same day he passed away. We see his desk full of papers, books, and notes, exactly as he left it for the last time. This was the bunker in Berlin where Adolf Hitler spent his final days in April 1945. There, he commanded the last war efforts, received frontline reports, and met with officers and allies while the Soviet siege closed in. In St. Mark's Square in Venice, grains were spread on the ground, spelling out the name Coca-Cola, to attract pigeons and create a living advertisement. The action occurred in 1960 and used the bird's natural behavior to form the letters in the public space. During a hospital visit, Princess Diana shook hands with an AIDS patient without wearing gloves. The gesture occurred during a period of fear and misinformation about the disease and helped combat the stigma faced by HIV-positive people. This is a photo of Alfred Hitchcock during the filming of The Mountain Eagle in 1926. The film was one of his first as a director, but is now considered lost, with no known copies preserved in archives or collections. Michael Jackson appears dressed as Charlie Chaplin in a photo shoot from the early 1970s. The artist always expressed great admiration for Chaplin, even paying tribute to the character on several occasions. Cristiano Ronaldo, still a child, holds a trophy next to his mother, Dolores Aveiro, during an award ceremony in Funchal on Madeira Island. From an early age, he stood out on local fields for his speed, skill, and determination with the ball. A stranded sperm whale displays a curious trait. They only have teeth in the lower jaw. The upper jaw contains sockets where the teeth fit. This adaptation helps them capture prey deep in the ocean.